Hello and welcome to the Ignite Your Leadership Prowess podcast. I'm Mutiat Adebowale, and today on the episode with me is another phenomenal guest that's going to be talking about something you will be delighted to know, to learn. And I've got with me Brittany Veney. Brittany, I know that if I started introducing you, I probably will not end because you have been doing some amazing work in the world. I'd like you to please elaborate on who you are, what you do, and how you have been impacting people all around the world.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be on your podcast and, share a little bit about who I am with your listeners. So yes, again, I am Brittany Veney. I am a mompreneur because I'm a mom first to two amazing, beautiful babies. But I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a company called Be Real Creative Studio, where I provide brand and website design services to creatives and small business owners who love what they do and want what they do to look amazing. More importantly than that, I empower divorcees and single super moms to build their own brands and, see the triumphs come from the various challenges that they face in their journeys, because that was my journey. And I love nothing more than to, empower others to rise above their circumstances.
Well, that is fantastic. Rise above their circumstances. And as you spoke about it, Brandon, you are a branding expert. And I just want to quickly highlight that, branding is for mompreneurs, entrepreneurs, professionals, because these days, if you don't stand up and stand out and be unique in whatever you do in your career, in your business, in your life, you will be smudged among many others. So branding is really important for you, whatever you're doing, whether business or you're building a beautiful career for yourself. So I'd like you to then elaborate on what is the importance of branding to anyone in business, because I guess it's a way for us to bring in money. So whether that's business, that's you building a career, what's the important thing you have to begin to think about when branding, is spoken about?
The number one thing that I always tell everyone who I come across is authenticity. Be authentic. Because anyone who is watching you, who is listening to you, they will know if you are not. And, I always say not being authentic, it's kind of like carrying a lie. Eventually you're going to start forgetting parts and pieces of your lie. So it's so much easier to simply be yourself, be your true self, and, gain the confidence no matter where you are, whether it's in the entrepreneurial space, whether it's in the corporate setting, to be true to yourself. Remember, to be true to your values, to have integrity, and to show your personality. Let that shine. And across the board, as you are being authentic, you want to do so in a way that represents who you are. And so for me, it's important that my image is always in alignment with who I am. I believe that everyone should have professional headshots, no matter if you own a business or if you're in a corporate world, because even for us that's in the corporate setting, we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook professional pages. So we always want to have those professional images and the things we put out into the digital atmosphere. We want them to be a representative of who we are.
That is fantastic. You've really touched a wide array of things that people do, and these days we all live on the social media platforms. That's literally where you will find everyone. And so whatever you're saying, whatever you are conveying as a message, whatever you're putting out there, you have to shine through, as in your authentic personality has to shine through. Wow, that is so fantastic. And that is one thing a lot of people miss because they think they're in a crowd. So how can people differentiate themselves these days when we live in this, modern online world and we are so much there? How do people differentiate themselves and stand out as their unique self?
The one thing that I advise, well, two, I'm going to give you two things. The first thing is to make sure that you're doing and you're talking about what you love. It's so easy, like you said, everyone's on social media. It's so easy to look at what everyone else is doing and talking about and think, should I be doing that? Should I be talking about that? No, you should be doing and talking about what you love. And the other thing is the importance of telling your story. There's no story like yours, I promise. Even though, you know how many women have gone through divorce and become single moms? Yeah, a lot of them. But there's no specific journey like mine, and how I got to where I am. So I encourage you all to tell your unique stories, because I promise you, no one has the same exact story as you.
Telling you your story, that resonates so much. That really, resonates so much. For someone like me, I know that until I realized my story, began to tell my story to myself, understand my story, that was when I was able to appreciate what it holds and how that can affect other people. So thank you so much for saying that. That's really, really wonderful. So a lot of people then think, I want to tell my story. So many people like, there is no worth in my story. I don't have anything really solid about my story. How can people own up, understand and appreciate their story to begin to tell their stories or hold on to their story and then, own it in the world?
That's a great question. And sometimes I believe that for anyone who's there in that space, they might not feel like their story is impactful because they don't feel like it resonates with someone. They don't feel like it can help someone or transform someone else's life. And so that's the power of getting the story out, because what you'll come to realize is that you'll meet so many new friends that are like, I've gone through that. I've gone through something similar. Or they'll come to you and ask you, but how? How did you get through that? What advice can you give to me? And I think that it's in that moment where you realize you have that like aha, like, oh wow, like my story, it really is impactful. I've really gone through some things. I can help someone. You just have to, deep dive a little bit, and understand you can really help someone else. And like, what better reward is that?
Wow, what better reward is there if you have something to share with other people to impact them, to transform their lives? So begin to own your story, and use your story wherever. Just talk about your story, write about it. Who are you? What makes you who you are? That sort of thing. Thank you so much for bringing that on. So when we begin on this branding journey, is it something that people just write down and do a list of things? I want to start branding myself or my business, and this are the things I'm going to do, XYZ things. Is that how it goes? Do a list of things, or just read something somewhere? Is there a particular step or things to follow when you want to embark on branding yourself, branding your story or yourself, or building a brand for yourself? What are the things to do?
And you know what? For some people do need to start with the list, to keep organized. I'm one of those people. I still write everything down, no matter how many apps we have. I like to start with a good list to keep myself, in alignment throughout the journey. And so if that's you, yes, start with, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is who I do it for. This is how I'm going to do it. And once you have that foundation, then you can begin to organize, okay, this is how I'm going to put it out into the world. This is how I'm going to market myself. This is what I'm going to look like, my aesthetic. This is what I'm going to sound like, is what I call, your brand voice. And so there's so much that goes into it, but you have to start with your foundation, because if you don't have that, then really, what are you going to put out? How are you going to be able to communicate it effectively with your target audience? And thankfully, I've been able to craft different tools to help others do this, because I understand it's overwhelming. It's a lot, especially when you don't really know. So you can go to Google. There's so many tools to help you, get those steps of what you need to do. But the most important thing is to execute. Don't just list them, gotta do them.
Execute. That's the most important thing. You can have the list, you can have the methods and the framework. If you don't execute, then it's worthless. So you talked about you have, tools to help people begin branding. Can you talk about, the way you help people? Maybe that could be, a way forward for someone.
Yes. So I realized the convenience of being able to, just like, with the podcast platform, you can listen to this while you're doing anything, anywhere. So I created a course. It's actually a free masterclass. You can get it for free on my website, courses.berealcreativestudio.com, where I show you how to create a successful side hustle. And I literally, give you the tools to do it. I even have downloads and everything, because I get it. Like, when you're listening to some of these masterclasses or courses, you need something to refer back to. And then for those who want to go even further than that and really get into the meat of branding themselves, then I have another course, which is how to build a brand while you're working a 9 to 5. Because that's truthfully when a lot of people do. And that brings me to the topic of time. We feel like, where is the time? I already have so much to do. I'm a caregiver or parent or student. And so because I've gone through that journey myself, I understand what it takes to build a brand while you're doing all the things. So the tools are there, and I encourage you all to utilize them.
Okay, lovely. So that's free resource for you if you want to build your brand, whether you are a career woman, or you are building a business, or you're just a boss lady who's got a business and looking to rebrand or give it a strong brand, or align your brand with your team members, whatever you want to do with your brand. That's a resource for you that you can check out. Okay, so yeah, I just spoke about alignment. People start with some sort of branding, and along the way they feel, oh no, this doesn't really align with the message I want to give. This doesn't really align with who I want to propel out there as myself. How do we go about aligning our branding to our voice, to who we are, and the message we eventually want to put out there?
I will start by saying, if you have gotten to that place, you are well on your way. That's a great sign, because it lets me know that you are really paying attention to your brand and you care about its impact and how you're communicating with your target audience. And so when you find yourself there, it's important to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, first of all, this is who I am. And also, these are the people who I'm servicing. Look at your target audience. How can I effectively communicate with them? What is effective messaging? What is that going to look like for me? And in going through, going back to the drawing board, understand that sometimes you're going to go back to that drawing board quite a few times, because I've gone back quite a few times in everything with my aesthetic, the colors, the fonts, and more importantly than that, my messaging, and how I was coming across. The thing that I found was that I wasn't being authentic enough. I was still limiting myself in quite a few ways, in the way that I spoke, in the things that I spoke about. And the moment for me that like really flipped the switch was that I wasn't really talking about the things that I truly wanted to talk about, that I was truly passionate about, those topics. And I wasn't keeping my target audience in mind enough for what their specific needs were. When I started doing that, everything flowed. Everything felt great. I was doing and talking about exactly what I wanted to do and talk about. And so, now being in I call it a free space to simply be, everything feels like it's in alignment. Everything flows to me, because I'm being none other than myself. But I've given myself permission to do that. So I encourage everyone else, give yourself permission to be. And when you do, your target audience, they're going to connect with you. They're going to see you, and everything will flow to you.
Lovely. Give yourself the permission to be. And this resonates on multiple levels, because people want to do great things. A lot of people have dreams, they have desires, they have things they want to bring alive in their lives, in their careers, and they're like, how can I do this? They step forward 1 foot, they step backwards 3 foot, and they're like, I can't do this. Fear. And what will people think about me when I begin to speak up or show up for myself? Or, and all of these accumulate to what helps you build your brand by showing up and speaking up and showing who you are in spaces. But the fear that locks in and don't allow people to do what they want to do and show up the way they want to show up. Because you talked about giving yourself the permission. How can people begin? Because there are people who are just looking to start, venture into a world of their own, to bring out who they are, to show up to the world, and they are held back by fear. How do people begin to give themselves that permission?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. And I advise you to start by asking yourself, is this what I really want? And why am I doing this? Because everyone has a why. And you have to think about what that is. And when you know it and when you believe it, you have to tell myself, you know what, no matter what, I'm not going to let my why down. And maybe your why is you, because my why, part of my why is definitely me. And I've been let down in the corporate world. I've been let down by this person and that person and that thing, but I'm not going to let myself down. I have given myself an opportunity to create something that is all mine. No one can take it away from me. And so have that mindset. What I'm doing is mine. No one can take it away. No one has a thing that's just like it because I've created it. Give yourself permission to own what's yours and run with it. You can do anything with the things that you create, whether it's business, whether it's a side hustle, a passion project, no matter what it is. I don't care if you're doing a home project. Enjoy it. Put your, like laser focus, get locked in, put your time and your love in it, and just enjoy the journey, and so what, you may fall, you may hit a few stumbling blocks, get back up and keep going so you can see the finished product.
Wow, that is so powerful. So do not let yourself down. That's the one that, touched me the most, because when we embark on projects or when we are doing anything for yourself, you're building a career, you're building a business. It's all about you. It's all about you. You are struggling. You are putting in the effort for yourself. And then do not allow other people's side comments or what they're thinking about you, their perception about you, to let you not see to the, to its success, or to continue to, to make the most of it. It's about you, because when the ships are down, you're all left on your own. So Think about yourself, think about your goal. It's about you. No one else is going to do it for you if you don't do it for yourself. And that is one thing that really touched me, when you say, you've been let down by other people, but do not let yourself down. And that's so, so important. And one last question before, we round up, because I think we are moving on. Not letting ourselves down. I've had this conversation many times, and people say, when we think about ourselves, I just want you to put a perspective on that. Is it selfishness? Is it not selfishness? I don't want to say another word. Or what is it really when we think about ourselves and know that, helping ourselves to thrive means so much, and you put all of your efforts into that? How does that come out at the end of the day? Some people think, oh no, you can't always think about yourself, think about other people. What's your perspective on that?
Well, my advice is to say this with love to anyone who you need to say it to. The things that I do for myself is self-care. I'm filling my cup and I happily give you my overflow. That is what I say to my family, to my friends, to my kids. I happily give you my overflow. If I do not take care of myself from my mental, my spiritual, my physical, I promise I will not have much to give you. And I want to be able to give you as much as I can.
That is lovely.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. The things that I give to myself is self-care. And until you fill your cup, you're happy to give the overflow, because that's the thing. When we don't build ourselves, when you don't invest in yourself, you cannot give but mediocrity. That's the truth. So when you do not invest in yourself and build up yourself and show up for your goals and your life, then you cannot give of value, because you need to add value to yourself to be able to add value to other people. And that's what I say. If we don't add that value to ourselves and achieve what we want for ourselves, how can you help other people achieve their dreams anyway? So thank you so much for bringing that perspective. So I'd like you to give that one word to that person looking to brand, stand out, be unique, tell their stories, and impact the world. What are you going to say to them? One word.
Authenticity. That's the word.
That's it. Authenticity. Be you anytime. Be you every time. Be you everywhere. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brittany, for that. And on that note, that's the end of the Ignite Your Leadership Prowess podcast today. And until I see you again, keep being the best of who you are.